Hey, this is Professor Homa. Welcome to what I believe is part 5 of the Buffalo Wild Wings postcard, and we'll probably have a lot more. We had 4 videos just to do the logo, and after the logo, you could see here we're going to have a lot of different files. I have 7 altogether. This actually 2 one is just an extra one that I'm going to show you why we need to remove the logo from the Photoshop file when we make the TIFF. But altogether I have 7. I have 2 different EPSs and a TIFF file, which are going to be put in our InDesign file after we're done with our Photoshop work. So we have a lot of work to do. We originally made the logo in Illustrator, and we're going to bring that into our Photoshop file for position only, for positioning of it. And then we're actually going to finish our layout in InDesign, because that's our kind of the industry standard of where we would do the final layout. And then the final piece we're going to create is going to be the PDF file. Here's the final PDF file from the version that I worked on in class, which is, this is a tagline that you could put on yourself instead of just the Wings Beer Sports, which is, you know, their trademark tagline. We put another one, just a little kind of winter postcard that we're putting out here. Get off your couch and have some fun, for all the people who've been kind of in all winter, haven't been getting out, been watching TV, Netflix, whatever. This is a little postcard that comes in the mail that kind of promotes people to get out a little bit and have a little fun. And it's through pictures, it's kind of promoting the Wings Sports Beer theme. These people are watching sports. You see big screen TVs, you see Wings, you see the building, so they know what it looks like when they drive by it, and beer as well, because that's part of their logo or their trademark of what they promote. And then we have a 2-sided postcard. We're actually going to make a backside. We may put a coupon on here, some kind of, 20% off your total bill or free appetizers or something on there. You want to have something that helps bring them into the restaurant other than just pictures of food and fun. So this is our finished product. Now this PDF was made from InDesign, so that'll be at the end of our process that we'll make our final PDF file. But what we have to do right now is we're going to kind of go back. We just finished our logo in Illustrator, and what we're going to do is we're going to start a Photoshop file and get some images in there. And I just gave some ideas of images, Wings, sports, and we're just going to take them off the web for now, and we're just going to do a 6 by 4 1/4 postcard. And I'm going to go into Photoshop right now and go File, New, and I'm going to make a postcard that's 6 wide by 4 1/4. Again, this is a standard mailing size postcard. You could certainly make a postcard that's bigger, and you probably do see bigger postcards. And in hindsight, I would have probably had us do a bigger postcard, but this is the largest size standard postcard for mailing. So I'm going to put in, we're going to do 200 pixels per inch, and we're going to change this from pixels and make sure this is inches. So don't forget to do this, and you can see it converted back. So make sure it's 6 by 4 inches, or 4 1/4. And it's 200 pixels per inch. So we'll keep it a little bit lower so that we're not, because the images we get from the web may not be that high of resolution, so we don't want to have to scale them up that high just to have a big file size. So that's how we're going to start. 6 by 4 1/4, 200 RGB color. We're going to hit OK. And this is going to be our layout, and I'll go up and I'll change this to inches so I could see the 6 and 4 1/4. And we're kind of set it up with a background photo and some other photos over top. Now you could do anything you want. I didn't really put restrictions on how you want to lay this out. My choice was I almost did the inset photos like we did on the web page. So that's fine to throw some photos in to get a little variety, have the logo stand out, and I put a little message along the bottom here, but you could do it any way you want, and people did do it any way they want. So don't feel like you have to do this layout, but I'll go through this layout just to reinforce some operations in Photoshop. So back to Photoshop. Now I brought up some images on the web already that I already searched, and I'll use some of the same ones that I used when I did the original one. So the one I used here were people watching sports, and it's a fairly decent, it's like 1,000 pixels, so it's not bad. You can see it's really high contrast, so I'll probably have to lighten it up a little bit. And I'm just going to copy image, and I'm going to go to Photoshop, and I'm going to paste it in. And you can see it's not that big. We're even going to have to scale this one up a little bit. And keep in mind, I didn't realize this until we were done either. If we were doing this truly for print, which was what we were trying to do, we would have to make it a little bit bigger for a bleed, because this postcard's bleeding off the edge. But for the sake of what we're doing, since we're incorporating a lot of issues into this and a lot of different files, we'll just keep it the finished size. But in production, we'd probably give it an extra 1/8 of an inch on all sides. So our finished file would probably be, or at least initially when we'd make our TIFF file, it would probably be 6.25 by 4.5, so we had 1/8 of an inch all around. But we'll do it to our finished size. We'll build it to our finished size for right now. And I'm going to try and name my layers. I'll try to do that as I go along. I'll just call this people in the background. So this will serve as kind of my background here. And I might make it a little bit bigger. I'll move this over so these people could maybe be looking up at the logo. So, and again, you don't want to necessarily be doing a lot of resizing with this. So I'll see how this works. And I'll bring in some other photos, and we're just reinforcing the method that we used with our web page of using layer mask. So I'm going to go to another. I'll bring some food in here, maybe a picture of the restaurant. This is a nice picture of the restaurant. It has a picture of the TV. There's not people in here, but it looks pretty neat. I'll see what this looks like. And I'm just going to right click and I'm going to copy image. Now before I paste, when I go to Photoshop, I'm going to just make a little marquee here, make a little size photo to throw in here. And I'm going to do edit, paste special, paste into. And if you remember, this makes a layer mask. There's my layer mask over here. And you can resize this within the layer mask. And I'll call it interior. And I'll try another one. Now remember, once you do the layer mask once, if you want to keep these all the same size as far as the layer masks, you command click on here. You can see you'll see the little marquee showing up. So if you click on that and then make sure you go back to your marquee tool and move this around, and I'll put this here, and I'll just grab another one. Maybe I'll try another exterior. I'll click on this one and I'll copy image. And I'll go back to Photoshop and I'll do the same thing. I'll do edit, paste special, paste into, and there's that image. And that way I could decide between these two. If I like, I'll throw 4 in here, and then whichever ones I like better, I'll stick with. Now remember not to scale your image past where the marquee was originally. That's the whole idea, is that we're using it as a little kind of a masked area. So you don't want to make it smaller than that. So I'll hit return, and you could still move these around in that area right now. So I'll kind of show that interior, and then you could link these then when you're done so that they move around together. And I'll make one more, or maybe 2 more, and remember, marquee to move it. And I'll put one here, and I'll go back, I'll find another thing with wings and beer. I think I have another one picked out already. There was a nice one. This is a nice one with beer and wings. Here's people, or here's just a separate wings one. Maybe I'll do this one. I'll click on this and I'll copy image, and I'll go back and I'll do a paste into. And there's a nice picture of wings with the blue cheese. And again, these are a little contrasty, so I'll probably have to do some image adjustments. So we'll review image adjustments a little bit on these, but that looks good. And make sure you name these as you go, because you may get a whole bunch. So I'll just call that wings, and I'll call the other one exterior. And I'll do one more, and I'll just do this. We've got to get some beer in there, because here's some people kind of toasting beer, and there's a whole different kinds of varieties there. So I'll click on this one, and we'll throw some beer in there, and I'll copy image, and I'll go here, and I'll edit, paste, special, and I didn't make a marquee, but let's just say you did this. Let's say you pasted that in there. And I'll move it to the top just so it's over top of everything. Let's say you just did that method and you're like, oh, I forgot to do the paste into. Well, how do you get a layer mask on there? Well, you could use this method too. You could still command click on another layer mask, and then just make sure you use your marquee. Whenever you want to move a marquee around, you have to use the marquee tool. So I'm just going to put a marquee right here, and I'll make sure I'm on that layer that I just pasted. Now this doesn't have a mask yet. I didn't do paste into, but you could go layer mask, and you could do reveal selection. That means it's the selection that you have, it's going to be shown inside of there. So you want to reveal selection, and same thing. And it actually links it automatically, which you may want to turn off to make sure it, everything looks okay. So I'm going to go back on the inner one here, and I'm just going to scale it down to see the hands on the beers a little bit. I want to see the tops of the beers. I don't want to go past where the mask is. Sometimes it's a little tricky, so I'll zoom in a little bit to see that a little better. And I'll go up to the corner here because I really want to focus on the beer, although they have food here, which is nice. And I'll move this down as far as I can. And I think that looks okay. So I'll hit return, and I'll call that, beer. It's got beer in it. So I have 4 there. I have wings, I have beer, I have 2 exteriors. That's good for now. And if I want to, I'll link them all together. That way I can move them around without the risk of moving the inside outside of the mask. So the masks and them are linked right now. So I'll zoom out a little bit, and one thing I might want to do, and don't forget, and I'll do this with one of them, but then you can do this with the other. So I'll grab this one, and so that you can grab a layer and move it around, make sure that you do have auto select on. Make sure that you have auto select on, that way you could click on a layer and move it around. And what I'm going to do on this one, when you have dark shadows, you want to go to Image Adjustments, Shadows, Highlights, and you want to attack the shadows. I'll move those over a little bit, and you can see the difference there. It has a lot of shadows on it. And I may want to do Image Adjustments and tackle Levels, and just lighten the midtones a little bit. You can also use this to lighten shadows sometimes too. This is another way to lighten shadows other than shadows, highlights. You can take the output levels down, because you can't lighten darks. Darks only get lighter, lights only get lighter. But if you ever need to darken the lights or lighten the darks, you could use output levels. So you can use this a little bit too in lieu of shadows, highlights. And I'll do that, and it's a little saturated, so you could use hue saturation. You know, a lot of things you could do here. And remember sharpening. If I'd want to go sharpen up these wings here, I might go to Filter, go down to Sharpen, and go to Unsharpen Mask. And you know, since we're doing higher resolution here, we're not going to do it this high, but we're going to make sure that we're somewhere around 50 to 100. So, and I can't see it here, so let me zoom out so I could see my, there it is. And there's my wings in here. And I just want a little bit of crispness to it. I'll leave this at 1.2, and I'll take this up, just make it a little sharper so the food looks nice and crisp and noticeable. So especially at small, you know, sharpening's nice for small thumbnail type images. So maybe I'll even take it up to 100. You know, again, you could go a little higher because this is print. This isn't, you know, web pages at 72 resolution. You got to be a little more conservative. So I'm going to hit OK there. All right, I'm going to take a little break here, and we'll finish up with layer styles on the next short video.